Day 8. Today is a Thursday, which is usually my night out on the town, which obviously I can't do at the moment, because of obvious reasons. However, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to pretend to have a night out on the town, and I'm going to run you through step by step of what I'd usually be up to. First things first though, we'd better get dressed. Costume change, much better. Let's begin. Usually on a Thursday night, my first port of call would be the L.A.P pub, an image of which you will see on the screen now, just there. Yes, I pop there, and I talk to my friend Luke, who's usually there, and my friend Paige, who works behind the bar. They usually stay in this place for too long, actually, and then I'm sort of behind for the rest of the evening on sort of catch-up. And that's usually the first port of call before I go to... The next place we'd be at now would be the Hope Inn, image pending. And all my friends would be there because it's pool night on a Thursday and everyone playing pool. I don't play it, but I like to go and watch. I'd be hideously behind schedule as usual because I spend too much time nattering over the oak. And as many beers in as I am now. But yeah, everyone be out. So Turk would be out, Chalky, Sandy, Andy, Gemma, and we'd have a good old natter and a chat. The music would be on, the jukebox would be on. My good friend Dave Samuel, who runs the joint, would be there, and it would be a fantastic atmosphere, full of people. Too busy for my liking, to be honest, because I like it relatively quiet. So I'd have a few jars there, and then we'd move on to the next place. Sorry, that was my friend Sammy, a person I'll talk about in a moment. After the Hope Inn, I'd go down to the Old King's Arms Hotel, a place I've been employed in for the last 4, maybe 5 years. Best bosses I've ever had in my life. I go down there specifically to talk to my friend Amber, who is like a sister to me. She is close to me as kin. I go down there and chat to Amber, and we'd go over the day's events, well, the week's events I suppose. And then I'd help her close up the pub, and I'd move on to the next location, which would be the final destination. Anyhow, after going from the Old King's Arms Hotel, I would go down to the Waterman's Arms, where I'd go see my friend Sammy, her boyfriend Gavin, lovely chap, known him for years, and yeah, all my friends down here. Day 11. Been quite a productive couple of days. I've written a script for a competition that the BBC are running. Not sure if they'll go for it, because it's an odd script and it's fairly depressing. But I enjoyed writing it, and you know, I'll make it even if they don't go for it. It's gone a bit mad out there. The death toll is now over 1,000 people, which is worrying. Although I suppose on an aggregate level that's not too much, but you've got to be sad for the poor people who are hurting out there. So I'm hunkering on down. Sticking to this. Think Tildy's got the same idea? Haven't you, Tild? Day 15. It's starting to get to me a bit, all of this. I've been having trouble sleeping, I've been quite short with my family, and I've been having very bad dreams. I'll try and explain them to you now. First is represented by this image. I dreamt about a man with one arm who broke into a hospital, cut another man's arm off and sewed it where his stump was, and then proceeded to murder a load of people, which freaked me the fuck out. Next is denoted by this image. That's the view from my window over there. I dreamt of a great lightning storm, which just meant me and my family could not leave the confines of our house. So you can see the relevance of that image there. Third is this more abstract sort of picture. I dreamt that the UK government was setting up isolation wards for critically sick people, but was exterminating them in order to make room for beds, which obviously is just a dream, but freaked me out and made me quite cross. So, I think it's all about me being stuck in these four walls for far too long, and my imagination is quite active anyway, so it rebels against boredom generally. I usually like nightmares, because nightmares usually give you good ideas for stories, which, you know, there's some good images in there, I think. Although, yeah, very disturbing. But, yeah, I'm sure I'll get used to it. It's just this rot of boredom has begun to set in. I'm sure it'll pass soon enough. I'm in a lot better mood now than I was earlier. This morning you could barely talk to me. So I've watched a bit of comedy on the television, and it's cheered me right up. So I'm in high spirits and hoping that the rest of this quarantine will go well. The sun's going down outside. It's been a lovely day. Look at that lovely moon. Isn't it beautiful? So that's the end of week 2, or it might be week 3. I'm not too sure. It's day 16, so you can do the maths on that. At the moment, the main thing I'm missing from the outside world is working, because I don't like sitting idle. I miss my colleagues as well. So to Amber, Lee, Non and Tony, friends and colleagues who I have loved and known for so very long, I hope you're all looking after yourselves. Anyhow, that's it for week 2. That's how I'm classing it anyway, week 2. Moving on to week 3. Day 19, if my perception time is correct. I've been doing some research into local history, more the obscure and occult in its nature. I've been consulting 3 books on the subject, which I found quite interesting. The first being this, The Wizards and Witches of Pembrokeshire, by a man named Brian John, who was a friend of my grandfather's. It's full of stories about witches existing in Pembroke way back when. Thoroughly recommend it. I think my family's involved in some of these stories, which I find quite interesting. Next being basically the Mabinogi, which, as most of you know, is a collection of Welsh folk tales and Celtic stories, which is very interesting. It's where we get the idea of King Arthur and Merlin from, I'm led to believe. And that's been a good base. The third, a very obscure book that I've been trying to get hold of for years, is called the Malem Libra. It's a series of sort of tales about black magic and the occult, compiled by a man named James Cromwell during the latter part of the 1800s. Yeah, it's taken me ages to get hold of this, but it's quite interesting. But yeah, it's been interesting reading so far. Might share some of these stories with you in a future entry into this blog. Well, that's it for day 19. Start of week 3. See you next time. Day 22. In desperate need of a haircut, as you can see. Not much to report. Been sat idle the last few days, binge watching BoJack Horseman on Netflix. Really good series, very poignant, with a lot of good modern observations on the world. Very funny, quite depressing in places, but enjoying it. Heartily recommend. On the subject of depression, I've currently stopped watching the news as it's just getting me down. Sit and put for the time being. That's day 22, all to report. There we are, lovely spring evening. It's a shame we're all stuck indoors, but there we go. Smells lovely though. Bring on May. End of week 3. We'll try and be more productive in the coming weeks. Hopefully this will all be over soon. Well, time will tell. It always does.